Hi everyone, my name is Sydney and today I'm going to be discussing Inward by Yung Pueblo, and this book is all about the process of healing. I personally loved this poetry book because it just enabled me to see the importance of transformation. Every single year there's going to be something that comes up and it's going to challenge you. And this year I had some challenges that made me really have to turn inward on myself, on self-love, and towards the things that matter for me, towards the things that I should be putting my energy into rather than the things that I have been putting my energy into that really don't need my energy, if that makes sense. This book was really damn special because it made me realize that, we are continually learning on this journey, and it's okay to have bad things happen to you, and it's okay to acknowledge that they have happened and to allow yourself to move on with as much time as you need. I'm personally in such a beautiful place at the moment where I finally feel like I have surpassed this feeling of, feeling unworthy or letting other people's opinions diminish my own. I used to let so many little things affect me, and a lot of these little things stem from social media. I used to let little things affect me, for example, who's liking my posts, who's watching my posts, these stupid little things that I would let affect me. And I would go into this place of sensitivity where I would realize that I am getting upset over something that has so many different factors and over something that is super, super stupid. But that was just one little piece of my insecurities coming up, for example. So this book was really, really wonderful to have and to read out loud. I personally love reading poetry books out loud because there's a sense of your voice echoing back to you. So after reading this book, I wrote a little something in my notes that I thought I would read to you. It is best for me to understand the power I hold and the confidence I need to believe in within myself. I don't need anyone, I need myself. First and foremost, I am whole already on my own, and I am ready for the universe to guide me rather than be stuck in a cloudy mind that is based around assumptions and lies I've created. Alright, so I'm going to go into my favorite passages from this book, and there's freaking heaps. So I apologize in advance if this video is going to be super long, but I hope that you enjoy it. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Page 2. Before I could realize the weight of my sadness and pain, I first had to honor its existence. And this is something that's huge. A lot of the time, let's look at this year. For me, when I would get upset, it was based off lies. It was based off making assumptions that would only grow in my own mind's eye. With this assumption that you've made based on something you've seen, it can create all these questions in your mind that aren't answered without actually speaking to the person about it. And that was something that was quite huge for me this year. So being able to have a step back and look at why I'm feeling sensitive in this moment really enabled me to realize that my sensitivity is stemming from something very small and something very stupid. It has been really interesting to acknowledge when my sensitivity comes in, when I look at something and go, hey, that's making me upset. Why? I've learned so much, mainly about myself and about how to heal my mind. So it was an amazing experience to acknowledge that, hey, every single person is living in their own world and everyone is going through different things. I forget sometimes that whilst I'm going through a lot, this person next to me has been through a lot or is also going through a lot. A lot of people say that every single person is a reflection of you, and I couldn't agree more that this is true. But also, sometimes what people say to you is a reflection of them rather than you. It's important to find and notice the difference, but also to notice how you can accept and deal with how you look at the situation. You have a power within you that is very strong. I've been realizing just how strong my power is. If I give a negative energy to my mind, that power is going to be so fucking consuming, but in a very difficult and bad way. Working on it these past few weeks has been unreal, and I can't express enough how wonderful I feel at the moment. Like, I really feel so much magic and really power within me that is just really transcending to other people, and what I'm giving out is being brought back to me. It's a really beautiful, beautiful feeling, and something that I hope we all can learn to use as a tool within our lives, because things can get really hard. Page 18. Reminder. When the body is tired, the mind will often create worries to focus on. It is super, super important to give yourself that time and space that you deserve. To have a moment to come back to self-love, self-honoring, that you are beautiful, you are worthy, you are strong, and to not allow yourself to be wrapped up in this world of constantly moving, constantly doing something. You know, take a moment out of that sometimes to breathe and not like look at work as your everything. Take a step back into something else that you love and breathe in it, you know. So on page 28, ego is self-doubt, self-hatred, anxiety, narcissism, fear of others, harshness, impatience, a lack of compassion, and illusions. Continuing on page 29, ego sees problems, consciousness sees solutions. I love this one on page 49. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means we stop carrying the energy of the past into the present. You gotta let go, let go of being trapped. So this is a long one, but really damn good. On page 50, healing begins with acceptance and culminates in letting go. When a great misery occurs, it remains with us for as long as we hold on to it. Attachments form because of the energy we use to keep what happened, or the image of what we want to happen, locked away within our mind and body. This is the cause of tension in our being. When we hold on to these attachments, they travel with us as a burden, from our past to our present and into our future. They can even be passed on to our descendants long after we are gone. The miracle of healing ourselves is so powerful because in the movement of accepting and letting go, we relinquish the energy of burden, not only in our present, but in our past and future as well. Imagine the timeline of your life. Now imagine the burdens that you carry as an extra line layered on top. As we let go of our miseries, this extra layer becomes thinner and thinner. It will not change what happened, but the extra energy we carried because of these occurrences will no longer weigh down the timeline of our life. What happened, happened. But now these moments are no longer attachments of pain and sorrow. Now, they are experiences we learn from, lessons that bring us into a present of greater freedom, happiness, and wisdom. You gotta let go, let go of being trapped. This is deep. Page 56. Ask yourself, is this worry real, or is my mind just looking for something to grab onto? Page 70. In one lifetime, we can be reborn many times. And I love that because a lot of people say that my spirit animal is a butterfly, which I personally fucking love. I do see myself as a blue butterfly, weirdly. But I think we're always transforming. Fucking always, you know? If you look at who you were when you were 12, when you were 16, when you were 5, are you the same person that you are today? Like, really, are you the same person? Yes and no. I think we're always growing, always fucking learning. Like, I'm not going to be the same person I am today in 20 years. I will be and I won't be. So this one on page 77 is honestly for me a wonderful description of how I feel when I meditate. I closed my eyes to look inward and found a universe waiting to be explored. When I meditate, I always go into this mindset. So the other day I meditated right on like a swamp bank, and it was so beautiful. I started off with one hand on my heart and one hand on my belly, and then I did another one where I just had my hands on my throat, because as you probably can tell, my throat is a little bit sore. And it was just so beautiful to focus here and breathe for I don't even know how long to meditate there. I saw this beautiful vision when I was here of, it's hard to, I guess, describe, but it was like a lava lamp, and the color was yellow. And the lava lamp, I guess, was doing this action. And it was just such a cleanse, like. And then when I had my hands here, it was this circle that was forming. It was almost like I was reaching for my third eye or something, that it was there and then dissipating, there and then dissipating. So cool. Meditation is fucking beautiful. Sometimes I find that life can be chaotic, and then I need to come back to me and let myself be centered, you know? Page 85. It may have taken a long time, but in the end it did not matter. After much healing through self-observation, she now had strength, she now had courage, and the wisdom to wield her new magic with virtue. No longer did she run from her pain or her troubles. No longer did she allow delusions to capture her mind. No longer did she doubt that the greatest healer she has ever met is her own unconditional love. I love this on page 96. I think this is probably one of my absolute favorites that I've read from this book. What does it mean to live in love? It means to rise above judgment so that we may see the world and ourselves with eyes of compassion. It means allowing the wisdom of love to orchestrate our actions, to always seek to produce thoughtful movements that support the good of all beings, and to emit peace into the ocean of humanity with our every step. Living in love is allowing ourselves to move through life with an open heart, so that all may share in the gift of our goodwill and kindness. It is to ask ourselves, how would love heal this situation, before we make our move? On page 103, then came the day when I looked into a mirror and saw 10,000 faces. In that moment, I understood that my body not only holds a multitude of stories, but that I also exist in many places and many times at once. Timeless. 104, this is what I feel. I really feel this. Rebirth. The moment people wake up to their power and start moving towards their freedom. Yeah. I'm such a dag, it's great. This is so good as well on page 112. Heaviness comes from hanging on tightly to emotions that were always meant to be ephemeral. It is not easy to let go, especially when all we know is attachment. We want things to last forever, and we turn difficult moments into long-lasting pain simply because we have not learned to let go. We have not learned that the beauty of living comes from the movement of change. Letting go does not mean that we forget, and it does not mean that we give up. It just means that we are not letting our present happiness be determined by things that happened in the past or by things we wish to happen in the future. If there is any passage that makes me think towards who I am right now in this moment, it's this one. On page 130. They asked her, "How did you free yourself?" She answered, "By embracing my own power." We are all so damn powerful, and we don't even know it. And we don't even think about it sometimes. But fuck, we are so powerful. And it's the way you use your power for good. Page 139. Self-love is a sincere acceptance of the past, an agreement to make the most of the present, and a willingness to allow the best to occur in the future. Wholehearted. This is really beautiful. On page 149, self-love begins with the acceptance of where we are now and the history we carry, but it does not stop there. Self-love is an energy we use for our own personal evolution. It is a meeting and balance of two critically important ideas: loving who we currently are and simultaneously transforming into the ideal version of ourselves. Though these ideas may seem contradictory, they are both required for our ultimate success. Without acceptance, our transformation into a happier and freer self would be highly difficult. Why? Because it is much harder to change and let go of what we hate. Self-love helps us delve deeper into ourselves and release the patterns in our subconscious that impact our behavior and emotions. True self-love is when one understands that the inward journey is the path to freedom, that observing and releasing our inner burdens is what will make us feel lighter and more aware. Self-love does not grow the ego, it does the opposite. It is our ego that carries the craving that causes our suffering. The incessant craving that rests at the center of the ego is the ultimate block that stops us from achieving freedom. A lot of problems stem from being attached to something. So this is on page 163. Love cannot cause pain. Attachments cause pain. We create attachments in our mind when we want to hold on to something or someone, or when we expect things to be a certain way. When the attachments that we create in our minds break, we feel they rupture deeply. How deeply depends on how much we identify with the image that we have created. When things happen contrary to these images that we hold dear in our minds, we feel pain from these attachments being stretched and broken. Attachments are not a form of true love. Unconditional love, selfless love, a love without expectations, is a higher form of existence that creates no attachments or images. It is a state of profound egolessness. Expectations and judgments are attachments that the untrained mind repeatedly creates, causing more knots and burdens that impede our happiness. The typical human mind is eclipsed by the delusion of ego. The ego separates, categorizes, and labels everything that it comes across, causing our discontent and misunderstanding. And to follow up on that, page 164, all mental tension comes from not letting go.
You gotta let go, let go of being trapped.
Ooh, I love this. On page 190. Water teaches flexibility and power. Earth expresses firmness and balance. Air sings of intelligence and bravery. Fire speaks of action and growth. But then again, we all hold the elements within us, so we are but all of them. This is really good too, on page 207. They both know that they are not together to complete each other, that their happiness is their own to create. Nevertheless, their ethereal bond serves a great purpose. It gives them the time and space to love each other well enough to release the tension of their unloved hearts. Their love for one another is not the end, but rather a means to an end. It is a humble tool of healing and nourishment that can strengthen their minds and make their spirits mighty, so that they may both release all that limits the flow of their happiness, so that they may both swim freely in the waters of wisdom and universal understanding. Love is a key. And the last thing I will leave this video on is on page 217. Observe, accept, release, transform. So if you have not read this book, I highly recommend that you go read it, pick it up, and please let me know what you think about it, because I think it's really, really wonderful to reflect on how you're feeling in the present moment and how things have how things have affected you, how you're dealing with them right now, or how you have dealt with them in the past. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. As usual, bye!